All right, so Mr. Gareth Roberts, rumor has it that you're nominated to NatCon for some big brass.
Yeah,
That's just
I
the
am.
rumor, though. So I guess we all got to show up to NatCon to see whether you win or not. I guess that's going to be the surprise element. But you're definitely nominated. So it's been a fantastic year for you, and we get your thoughts. A couple weeks before NatCon. So I'm going to pass the microphone over to you and let you run with it.
What are my thoughts? That's a good one. I think, I don't know, I've been harping on this comment, like, how do I define success? And I got pretty basic with it. I don't think I'm a pretty academically gifted human. So I just think, what really went well in the last few years is I just made a lot of really good decisions in a row. Like I've been reading this book that was written in like the late 90s called The Power of Now. Has anybody ever read that book? Anybody got that under their belt? Without ruining too much of it, but it's really just when you know the right thing to do. Like an example would be, you know what, I'm going to start eating healthy next week. And instead of doing that, you walk over to the fridge and you just throw away all the garbage that you were going to supposedly get rid of by the end of the week. And so just doing it now. So a lot of those things, I just made a lot of good decisions in a row. So, things like, should I go to the field right now? Yeah. Yes is the answer. So I just get off my ass and go do it. I'd really love to hit the snooze button, but I'm just going to put 2 feet on the floor. I read this quote, a few years ago, and I have it in the back of my mind all the time. And it's like, when the alarm goes off, you put 2 feet on the floor in a way that the devil looks up and goes, "Oh shit, he's awake." And, so I just have that like saying in my head every morning. So yeah, just making a bunch of good decisions in a row, I think has translated to some really cool momentum. And we're not there yet. I'm not happy with where I am. I asked the team this morning, I was like, we're up there for some really cool awards and we're doing well. How do you guys feel about it? And a pretty resounding was like, we're nowhere near as good as we should be. And I think that's a really good sign. The silence is dead. Deafening.
Well, are you open this up? So, Gareth, what awards are you up for? One, and I've been seeing you. I've been seeing you kick some ass in the rankings, and I talked to your guys a lot, Sam and Javen. So I know there's some good mojo going on. Like, what have been these really good decisions in a row for you that the ones that you're like, boom, this one, or these few consistently have allowed me to catch this momentum in this way?
That's a great question, Dean. I think everybody knows the right thing to do 100% of the time. It's just whether you're going to do it or not is the difference. So I came to Minnesota. I am a Florida kid who went through the field in Southern California. And then, I ran a business in Arizona for 15 years, right? So to say the least, my blood is not designed for the cold. I'm a big winter wuss. I don't do well at that stuff. And so, it kind of started with like, what do I do? Like, I got to figure out what I'm going to do. This is the cards that have been dealt to me. So I got to go make some good decisions. So I made some commitments. I sat down with my wife and, we only had one kid at that time. We made some scheduling. Okay. So you're going to have to allow me to, I said these words. I was like, when you call me to ask me what time I'm coming home, the answer is always going to be the same. It's going to be when the job gets done. And you need to be okay with that. And originally the plan was 6 months. Like, I'm going to be full-time in the field, training, kicking ass for 6 months. That was the plan. Right. And I think Entrepreneurship, for whatever reason, tends to add a few multipliers to your expectations. And I think that 6 months turned into 18 months. It took me a lot longer to kind of sort things out. And but I set the expectations really early in the beginning with the people who were the most important to me, being my family, to give me the freedom to be able to go and do those things. Did I want to do that? No, I still don't want to do that. But I know that was the right thing to do. And I've run a business where I know it's the right thing to do, and I just chose or sold myself on why not to do it. And I just did it. And I just did it every day. I would just start. It's kind of like the gym. Like, you know, Dean, you're a gym guy. Like, I never feel like going to the gym. If I only went to the gym when I felt like it, I would be super fat, because I never really want to go there. But when I get into it and I'm there, it's like I get up in the morning and I'm like, I don't want to work out. And I put my shoes and my workout stuff on. I don't want to go to the gym. And then I get in the car and I don't want to go to the gym. And the next thing I realize, I'm at the gym, and I might as well just, you know, go get after it. So I think that translated across the board in everything that I did. And I think my team started to see that. You know, Airbay, you know, he was around he's the first guy I hired in Minnesota. I hired him when I still was in Arizona. We're doing still Zoom and COVID and all that stuff. So he got to see like from the beginning, like, what does that need to look like? And I'm really proud because, you know, he's come out of the gates really strong, because he was around when that smaller team, that smaller office, and we started gaining momentum, and again, making good decisions in a row. That I don't know how to give you some specifics, but you know the answers. It's like, should I go to the field? The answer is yes. Should I take a shorter lunch? The answer is yes. And then just going back to that power of now, it's like, okay, as soon as my conscience tells me the right thing, I just get off my ass and I go do it. Does that make sense, mate?
No, 100%.
And I found the less I focus on the time, like I'm only going to do it for this amount of time. And that's the only thing I wish I wouldn't have done, is like put that 6 month. I remember saying, this is the date we're going to do it, you know, by February, you know, I won't have to have this crazy schedule. And instead I just focused on in the present, like right now, I'm just going to focus on, you know, doing the right thing every day. And eventually the right thing was to not be in the field. Eventually it was to a point where, you know, we had 25 leaders and it didn't make any sense. I was like, I'm going to be way too busy recruiting. And I'm weird. I enjoy the field. I'm good at it. I've always been good at it. I think that's given me a lot of strength in making good hiring decisions to, you know, work with the right people. I don't need to work with people. I get to work with the people I want to, because, you know, I can take care of it. You know, I know how good you are, Dean, as well. You know, and I see Bo on the call, like he was he was around for some of the challenging times as well. And you got to see what it took to kind of bounce back. So, you know, I got kind of I don't know if it was a compliment or I think it was supposed to be a compliment, but, you know, one of the consultants said, you know, no one has ever gone from 25 to 2 more times back and forth than Gareth. He can rebuild like nobody's business. And I was like, you know, he's the king of building momentum. And then for whatever reason, I just stop. So I think from that moment, it made me, I don't know if mad is the right answer, but aware, you know, very aware that was a perception. And I was like, I don't want to have that perception anymore. So, you know, I want my best to be my average. Hope I answered that question.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you get the idea. But yeah, my perspective going into the business, right, going into the national conference is exciting. I'm going into it very different. I tend to go into them with a bit of a chip on my shoulder, and I'm typically a little angry when I leave, and it typically translates to something pretty special. So I want to make sure that I put myself in that scenario where, you know, I'm doing well, but I'm not doing great. And I still want to leave with a chip on my shoulder. I still want to leave pissed off. I still want to leave with some action items and goals and things that I want to go out and, you know, kick some butt. But yeah, definitely a different feeling going into it right now.
Gareth, I got a question.
Shoot. What up, man?
What's up, Gareth? How you doing?
Man, you're a good looking dude.
Appreciate you.
That's
Travis
very-
Kelsey Jr. over here. So your strength is probably recruiting. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would say that's my superpower for sure.
Okay. Will you just talk through recruiting, just the whole funnel, your perspective around interviewing, seconds, everything?
Yeah. This is gonna annoy you, but it's not that complicated. The way my brain, somebody asked me for my recruiting strategy on a call a couple weeks ago, and I was like, just make sure that my recruiting outperforms my turnover. And if I function that way all the time, I'm always going to get bigger. So even if I have 2 new starts and I turn one guy over, I'm growing by 1. So, I always want to make sure that I'm moving in the right direction consistently. And I don't look at it on a week-to-week basis. I look on it every month. So every month, I just want to know that my recruiting outperformed my turnover. And that was kind of the paradigm, right? So, and then I just work backwards. So I just keep track of all the numbers, like what's your average turnover versus how many new starts do you have, and I kind of work that way. Now, I write all my own ads. I post all my own ads as well. I don't have anybody doing it for me. I trained my own admin. I don't have an office. I sit in the same room as my administrator. So what she says, I hear. What I say, she hears. And so it's literally the most congruent. I can honestly say I wish I would have done it 10 years ago, where it wasn't like a huge separation. I found that when I have an office, I sit in there all the time and do nothing, or I have busy work that I need to do when I should be out with the team. So I just eliminated that. I have nowhere to go besides hanging out with the team. But in recruiting, it's the same principle. If I'm going to be in an office, it's in the one that she's in right now. And so I can hear what she says. She hears what I say. When I designed the website, we did it as a team. So it wasn't like, I was doing, trying to make something fancy. I wanted to be something that she understood, that I understood, that made sense. She knew exactly what it says on there. I hear all the time, it's like, when was the last time you read the ads that have your name on it? And I hear a lot of time they have no idea what it is. And I know exactly what mine say. I wrote all of them. And, I think that's one. That's like the big one. I think number 2 is the way I pay my recruiter. I don't pay a very big base, a very, very, very small one. But I pay a lot for the production that I'm looking for. So, I pay for the numbers that I want. So second rounds, new starts, and leadership promotions. Those are the big commissions that I pay for. I want my recruiter to be the highest paid. Amber's payroll this week was $1,650. That's a big number. And 90% of that is commission. She knows exactly. So it doesn't handcuff me to pay. She's in Arizona right now on vacation working, because that's how she makes money. And I found that to be very productive, and it translates to all of that. She gets paid a lot more for new starts. She gets paid even more for leadership promotions. So she's wanting to have one-on-ones with people. I'm just compensating for the statistics that I'm looking for. And I'm really glad that we did it that way. The third thing I'll say is how we started the recruiting is Amber, for the first 6 months, only recruited database. No ads at all. And we did it together. So back and forth, she heard what I would say, and then she would do. So she learned how to, if ads aren't doing what they're supposed to do, and I'm not pulling out mine to the bargain, she can control her own income. She can control the recruiting. She knows exactly what she needs to do. And so that was a really, really big piece of it. I have made the mistake of just increasing the show up money as opposed to the performance money. So her guarantee has consistently gotten smaller, and then I pay her based on her performance more money for each statistic based on tiers that she hits. So I think, she recruits now for 3 offices, and they all pay the same way. So, I don't know how much she actually made this week, but it's a bunch. She made a lot of money. But you can imagine why. She can control it. She wants to make a lot of money and have a great life. She sees the reps making tons of money, so she wants to do that too. I saw Steven's face when I said that number. Is that good or a bad thing? I don't know. Did I answer your question, Steven?
Yes, it sounds like you probably also conduct a mean ass interview. Or else I doubt your recruiter would be modeling something of high value. So can you just walk through your interview process, how you do it, what you're looking for, some key questions you ask?
Sure. I'll give you the really high level version. So the way I start every interview is, this is just a culture fit. The interview is going to be based on whether we're going to hang out or not. Because if I don't want to hang out with you, you can't work here. And that's mainly based on the value, like why I do this business is because I have no interest in working with people that make me hate my alarm clock when I get up in the morning. And I think that was the biggest transition, because I would hire salespeople as opposed to people that I want to hang out with, instead of people I want to hang out with. I can develop into, sales professionals and people I want to go grab a beer with and go hang out with my family. That was a really good transition in my career. The second thing I do, so it's always to let them know this is a culture fit. This is not going to be a very, it's very systematic, but it's more of a conversation than it's going to be me drilling you questions. The second thing I'll say is, I give a really good, strong history about myself and the fact that I've only been doing retail for a very short period of time. I found the more honest and open that I can be with candidates, the more they respect the fact that, what I'm looking for, I don't need a unicorn. I need someone to help us build something, special, but I'm still new at it. I'm still learning at it. And so this is more of a, are we going to be a really good fit? And I'll say things at the beginning of, like, you got to check out the social media, because, and I say this in the beginning, I say it again at the very end, you got to look at the people. People have never left companies, or at least I've never left a company because of the job. I've always left because I didn't fit into the culture, or the people sucked the awesome out of me. So you got to make sure, because you might look at us and go, man, these people are weird. Or you might be like, these are my people. So you want to make sure you check those boxes. I can explain the business really well. When I first got on retail, I was really bad at it because I'd run a B2B office for 14 years, forever. So it took me a little bit, but trial and error, and I would just take little pieces of it. Intro, okay, that works. I'm gonna do that. And then eventually it just translated. Actually, Jamie was in my office one time, or not that long ago, and he goes, man, I think your interview might be too good. It might be too sexy. And so that was good feedback. And so I tailed it back a little bit, made it a little bit more question and answer. But I think the big piece is the culture piece. It's like, I want you to know that this is making sure that, like, I want to hang out with you and you want to hang out with me. And if that's the case, it'll all make sense. I can explain my payroll really well by using a lot of really good stories. Like in Minnesota, we don't have a high minimum wage. It's only $10 an hour. But I use my personal experience, as a bartender, you're paid $10 an hour in Minnesota. So, we pay just like bartenders. You're going to get paid $10 an hour, which is poverty in Alabama. Or we're going to pay you for your performance. I have very little interest in paying you for your time. I'd rather you work less hours and make more money. But on the opposite side, we pay you a ton of money for your performance. And then I break that down for them. I go over, our expectations are that you've got the skill level to make between $750 and $1,000. Whatever my actual real life average is that week is the number that I say. Let's say $750 or $800 a week once you're through training. And then once you're through training, then we want to kind of level up from there. I have a couple people, everybody's on the call who make $10,000 a month. So I'll look at the questionnaire that they filled out. I see you're a pretty competitive person. So you have an idea of someone paid exactly like you would be, what that translates to. And then I end the question. Then my last few questions are pretty simple. It's like, why on earth would this be a good play for you? You're paid very little for your time. You're paid for your performance. Why would that even be a good pivot for your next career move? Instead of selling the job, I want them to explain to me why we're a good play for them. And I always ask the last question, this is how many people I'm interviewing. Here's how many people I'm actually going to hire. Why you? And then I always give them open question, like, okay, now you can ask me anything you want. And I don't know my exact standard errors, but it's in the 90 percentile from second round new starts. Pretty good. Now, keep in mind, Stephen, I've done 150,000 interviews. That's a lot, but I've done a lot. I got some experience. Anything else? Did I answer your question? I was a little up and down over there.
Yeah, that was great. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Hey, Sean, you're always so well put together, man. Good looking guy.
Shit, bro, I have a question for you, dude.
Shoot.
I want to jump into developing your leaders. How do you develop your leaders? What are the traits that you're looking for when they get to a level like assistant manager? What are the things that you're looking for? Just walk me through how you develop your guys, the traits that you're looking for in someone that you want to invest more time, like assistant managers.
That's a good question too. I think I asked this question to Airbay a couple hours ago, and his answer was, you don't really tell anybody what to do. I don't. People ask me questions all the time, and I'm consistently like, I don't know. That's a good. What should you do? I don't know the answer to that. And so I think I've given people the opportunity to develop as opposed to become sheep and me telling them what to do. I think that's a skill that needed to be learned for me. But I put a lot of thought into it. I spend a ton of time. How can I make, like, if I'm reading a book, they're going to be by osmosis reading it too. You know, if I find something that I feel like is going to be, like, I've been harping on this book, the Infinite Game, for a few years now. And if you haven't read it, hey, Sean, you should read it today. It's the best book on earth for this business. There is no better book. How to Influence and Influence People is probably a distant second, but mainly because, you know, that book gives perspective. And I think that's the most powerful thing. So I talk a lot about perspective. Some people are going to be able to do it really quickly. Some people are going to take a really long time. But I think the development piece is, you know, if you prepare, you're going to get successful results. I think that's a big thing. And I also transitioned from focusing heavily on teaching people the sales piece to more focusing on teaching people how to be a better human. And I think because of that, that's translated to the field really taking care of itself. We teach people good character, good morals, good fundamentals, and mainly good discipline. The rest of it really takes care of itself. So I think I talk about it so often and I live it so often. I remember Holly Clark ran a meeting. She won an award years back, and she said, act as if someone you really respect is always watching you. Because everybody has worked somewhere, and maybe you've done this before, or somebody's a victim of this. It's like, so-and-so's coming to visit. Everybody's got to get here earlier. Everyone's got to dress better. Everyone's got to step up their performance. If my father, who is that person to me, showed up right now, I would change nothing. Not the way I carry myself, not the way I dress, not the way I treat my people, not the way I raise my kids, not the way I treat my wife, nothing. It's partly why I called my company Rhino. It's my father's nickname. I think about him every time I say the word. And I think, you know, because I act a certain way, I think that, you know, again, I prepare the meetings, but I think by action is probably the best teacher. If you're the person that people want to be like, they're going to start acting accordingly. And those that won't will remove themselves anyway. Did I answer your question, Hishan? I hope so.
You did. You gave me the perspective on like building the character wise. Like, how would you teach, like, let's say an assistant manager who's out there right now running a deal for you, and that's you promoting our deal. What kind of like a systematic way that you teach them to develop their guys? Is it just character? Just you live that way, they will follow you, or it's like anything?
I guess I mean, everybody could probably speak better to this, but I don't think I treat Airbay as an assistant manager. Or Jabin just hit assistant management a couple days ago. I wasn't even here. I thought that was pretty sweet. But nothing has changed at all. The way I train them, I just add more like layers, like more stuff to do. But ultimately the day-to-day and the expectations and character and all that stuff, it started from like the beginning, right? I don't want to have to like, let me teach you how to change who you are right now, because I didn't teach that in the beginning. So I think in order to train an assistant manager or to train your son or daughter or whatever it is, I still think it's the same thing. So I think you don't want to have to like all of a sudden start training somebody to be a good human or a good business owner or whatever it is because they have a new title. That is stupid. It's kind of like New Year's resolutions always drive me crazy. Like I'm going to start doing better because it's the first of the year. Like that's so freaking stupid. Like, no, I'm going to do it right now. Like my wife will do it all the time. She's like, oh, you know what I'm going to do tomorrow? And then she'll catch herself and then she'll just get up and go do whatever she was going to do. And so I think if you start developing the people around you and you are the same person in your business life as you are in your personal life, you'd be surprised how quickly you can build, an amazing, I say like an army, but it's more like a family. I mean, I would say majority of the people are here, and regardless if they make a lot of money or if they make an average amount of money, it's because they really enjoy being here and they want to be here and they enjoy the people here and they enjoy the learning and becoming a better version of themselves. We have a guy named Everett. His mom called me to tell me how appreciative that she was that her son works here. There isn't too many things that make me smile bigger when you get that kind of phone call. Because I had no idea that he didn't act the way he does here. I had no idea. And he's a super disciplined kid. So, yeah. Be the example. You'd be surprised on how, I know what you're looking for, Hishan. You're looking for like here's my list of shit that I go over. Yeah, I'm not. That is a Jamie thing. That is not my. Yeah. Your dad. I talked to Bob. Bob was when Bo was in the field. I talked to Bob all the time. Yeah, I talked to Bo's dad. Yeah, it was good.
The book you said, The Power of Now, is that the way you're saying is the number one book?
No.
What
The
you
best
say?
one is called The Infinite Game by Simon.
Simon's an expert.
The Infinite Game.
Yeah, The Infinite Game. That's the rough thing is it's really a business book. There's no such thing at winning or losing at business. It's either you're ahead or you're behind. And Dean, you have been both.
For sure.
Right. And so I think once you have the perspective is like, I haven't lost, I'm just not winning yet. I'm just behind. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be winning later. I'm running a breakout at the conference, and it's really all I'm going to talk about is I have all my stats. Like, look, how many people do you have in your office and what is your wire? Okay, let me show you exactly what that looked like for me. And here's all the things that I did every day. I made really good decisions. I kicked the ball up a hill every day. I did a bunch of stuff I didn't want to do, but had to do. And ultimately it happened longer than I thought. And it added a little bit more time and frustrations, but I just kept saying, I just got up and put my feet on the floor. So the devil looked up to me and said, oh shit, he's awake. And that is a quote you should all write down, put in your bedroom. Any final ones, Jamie? I know we're over time.
No, it's very exciting for me to see how this has been playing out for you. And, as you're in Tampa and you're sending me videos of homes that you're shopping for right now. I mean, I'm just very happy for you and your family, Gareth. So you have always been a hard worker. That is certainly one of your secret sauces. You're not afraid to roll up your sleeves. You're not afraid to put in 14-hour days. You don't complain. And it's paying off for you now. So I'm very proud of you. Love the organization that you're building. And I think, this year's NatCon, you're getting an award, but I think up and coming NatCons, you're going to be the guy handing out the awards. That's what I see coming.
Yeah, that would be special. That would be special. Yeah, that would be cool.
All right, so
Be
next
thinking
week,
about
guys,
that.
we're gonna have Franco on the call, then we've got NatCon, we're gonna take a couple week pause. So more to follow with some emails, but Franco, and then I'll see all you guys in Austin, Texas.
Rock and roll. Love you guys.
See you guys.